first-round grade, I think this is the most athletic pass rusher in this entire class. He lines up wide, swims and rips through opposing tackles, violent, decisive hands. He comes from a standing pre-snap stance, and I think that will be a natural transition into what the Cowboys at least have done in the past with Micah Parsons. Having a guy like Micah Parsons to help develop Ezeiruaku here at the next level is going to be a perfect fit. Consensus All-American in 2024, 16.5 sacks, 20.5 tackles for loss. He's got this massive wingspan that'll help him improve in the run game. He just kind of needs to add some weight to his frame a little bit, and I think he could really maximize what the run game stuff could look like. But this is a guy that I fell in love with very early on. I think there was an episode of The Break we had, Brian, probably back in November, and afterward you asked me, any guys you've been watching yet? And I said, have you seen this Ezeiruaku kid at Boston College? Mm-hmm. This is a guy that I just love, and the sense that he can play standing up as a standing rusher too. He has some box versatility as well. I think they're going to be able to do a little bit of drop coverage with him out in the flat. He's got the athleticism to be able to do that, and he certainly showed that against running backs coming out of the backfield. This is an awesome pick.
That drop coverage is all good and dandy. This kid knows how to get underneath blocks. He does, and he knows how to. And Nick, I like your report on this kid because I think you're absolutely right. The pressure that he immediately puts on offensive tackles, his ability to work down the line of scrimmage to get in on plays, he can make himself really, really small, get low to the ground, get underneath blockers, and then close that gap to the ball or to the quarterback right there. So this guy was the 26th player in my stack. Yeah. So again, I think it was a really, really good pick. They're really not thinking much about the needs right now. They're just drafting good football players.
One more thing I want to add before I leave, though. Nick broke him down perfectly, but just one more thing I want to add is he has a full tool belt right now. I think he's ready to line up and get sacks right now. There's not going to be a long waiting period. I've seen him many times in film set guys up just to sack them with that move that they set him up with later on in the game. Fantastic pick right here for the Cowboys.
Back to the Ezeiruaku. By the way, Donovan Ezeiruaku.
Easy.
That is how you say it.
Donovan.
It is easy.
Ezeiruaku.
It is easy to say.
Donovan Ezeiruaku.
Ezeiruaku. That is how you say his last name. Because get used to it. You're going to say it a lot when he's in the backfield quite a bit. ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He won the Ted Hendricks Award, which is given to the nation's top defensive end after the 16.5 sacks. I mean, this is an overall bendy, impressive edge rusher. Tommy, I know you were talking about him as well.
Yeah, 21st player on my board, and you look at what he's going to have to do for the Cowboys in this position. This is not a guy who you need to come in on day one and get 10 sacks. That's why you've got Micah Parsons. But it is a guy who is very capable of getting to double-digit sacks because of Micah Parsons. I think Nick explained it perfectly when he was talking about the pick earlier. This is a bendy, athletic, twitchy guy who flies in off the edge and has a knack for getting to the backfield. He's the ACC Defensive Player of the Year last year, consensus All-American, 16.5 sacks. You can never have enough pass rushers. And we heard so much about the Cowboys brass talking yesterday about how, hey, in this division, we feel like we need to bolster the interior of our defensive line because of how good defensive tackles are in the NFC East. Well, the NFC East has got some good offensive tackles as well. So getting as many good edge rushers as you can never have enough good pass rushers, I don't think. So you add them to a room with Micah Parsons, Sam Williams, now Marshawn Nealon gets more time to develop as more of a run defender. You've got a lot of really, really, really solid options here for you. And you bring back your boy from a couple years ago. Of course, I'm blanking on his name right now. Washington.
Jeremy Mincy.
Fowler.
Dante Fowler. Thank you. That was my
Jeremy Mincy. You were looking at me.
That was my 5 hours of sleep kicking in here. Sorry about that.
All right, we've got Zach Wolchuk, Bobby Belt, both from 105.3 The Fan, rejoining us here in studio. Zach, what do you think about the pick?
I love it, and I know Nick was very, very high on him. I think he was higher than on Ezeiruaku than any of us were. And
but I think all of us had him at 1 or 2 on our board, right?
What do you mean?
Like first rounder?
Yeah. I mean, I had him at 37 on my board. Yeah. I mean, I think he's a really good player. This is obviously great value for me. I mean, the production speaks for itself, but I love the fact that he's a tireless worker and the finishing ability with him. There are some other edge rushers in this class that you will see be able to get the pressures. I think Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, we had that conversation about him this entire time. Donovan Ezeiruaku, if he gets there, he's going to make the play. I mean, he can set the edge. Now, he's a guy that I think he's got multiple ways to beat you in the tool belt, and The lateral agility's really good with him. He's probably just a guy that's going to be a starter for 10 plus years here. I mean, like he to me, really, really talented. 20 and a half tackles for loss, second on the team captain. That's a theme with both these picks. High character individuals.
Yeah, I thought Green Bay might take a shot at him in the first round at 23. You know, they were talking about edge rushers. I was visiting with the guys up there. They absolutely love this kid, and tip of the cap to. And I think what we saw in the war room was Will McClay and what he can do, and I think he fought very hard for this kid. I think there's some folks in that war room that were maybe interested in bailing out of there, maybe going another direction. And he told them, "Hey, let's stick right here. We got this. This is our guy." And you could see it. And Jerry and Steven looking at him and saying, "Okay," and the head coach going with him, defensive coaches going with him. So nice job by Will arguing for his player right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's right. It's sticking to your board, right? I mean, they went best player available here. Was that
they're sticking to their board?
No.
Yeah, we're talking about needs. We're talking about running backs. We're talking about wide receivers. They're taking their best players is what they're doing right now.
Well, and that's kind of the thought process that Brian Schottenheimer has brought to the table. He wants good football players. He said it in the pre-draft press conference, and as we saw yesterday, they aren't lying in the pre-draft press conference at this point. They're saying what they're meaning. They want good football players, and if it's not necessarily and I think edge rusher was a low need on their board. Was it corner? Was it running back? Was it wide receiver? Mm-hmm. No. They still need those things, but they want to take good football players, and they're taking what the stack looks like, Brian, and they're sticking to their board.
Real quick, so we can. Sorry, Brian.
No, go ahead.
Before we get to Bobby. Kind of talking about what they're looking for. He's also a 2-year team captain and one of the top character guys in this class. So that's just continuing from the Tyler Booker theme from last night. That's from Dane Brugler, our buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm going to steal a comp from Lance Zierlein because I heard him say this on a podcast about Ezeiruaku. Very reminiscent of Yannick Ngakoue. Like I think that's a very similar player.
Difficult last names to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've said Yannick Ngakoue enough times over the years that it's kind of
rolls off. It's like Oso Digizu.
Yeah,
it rolls right off your tongue.
Noah Igbenogany.
Ooh, that's a good one.
But I think that
Ezeiruaku.
Yeah, like, I mean, there are clearly first round type of traits with him. I think that where some of the limitations are the ones that you typically find for a guy his size, which are. You're trying to dip tackles sometimes, and in the process, you get washed, or you end up losing contain, or you try to slip to the outside. So I think that he's a guy that this is more where I think he should have gone. I didn't have him as a first round guy. I think second. This is perfectly good. The only question I have at this point is you're saying to yourself, we're waiting until the 5th round to touch 2 of
the league in sacks last year. Yeah. Obviously, your technical skills and your pass rush moves is something that people talk about. How did you become such a technician with your pass rush ability?
Yeah, well, honestly, God-given ability, of course, thank God. But I had a really good defensive line coach, in college. With Coach Vince Ogobasi. He taught me how to watch film. He taught me how to break down certain guys. Of course, I was always a fan of football, and I always watched guys like the Von Millers and all that. But under him, he taught me, how to really watch certain things, and obviously, good repetition. You got to take 10,000, reps to become a master at something, and just repping it over and over and over and over and over again. I think I do a pretty good job at doing that. Yeah.
How much did Coach Lewis and Coach O'Brien kind of get you NFL ready, considering their long ties to the league?
Yeah. Coach O'Brien and Coach Lewis, I tell them too. I appreciate them. I sent them a nice text message. Because they did just that. They got me NFL ready. They were, I would go into the office and we would just talk. And, that talk would lead to, now I'm asking questions about, okay, what is it really like? And Coach O'Brien, he helped me, kept my body right, for the entire season. I appreciate him for that. Coach Lewis, he put me in, great positions on the defense. He put me at edge. He put me, floating around over the guard. He had me standing up, kind of, roaming around linebacker area. So I did everything, and I appreciate them for that.
Did you think about hitting the portal at any point, when there was a new regime there?
Yeah, I think the opportunity definitely came, but loyal to Boston College, loyal to my teammates over there at BC, made a lot of great bonds and great relationships, and then the situation was right for me, so that's why I stayed.
There are a lot of great pass rushers on the defensive line, including Micah Parsons. How do you think you can fit with your game on this defensive line?
Yeah, I think I'll fit. I think I'll be able to contribute. It always helps when you got guys on both sides and then in the middle that can pass rush or have a knack for the football. And I think I'll be adding great value to that. And I'm very excited. Very, very, very excited.
pay attention to the draft projections for you, whether you would be a first rounder or a second rounder. Does that matter to you at all?
Yeah, I mean, I noticed it. I had family members. They would send me certain things. You watch ESPN and they have a quick segment out of talking about you. I've seen it. But I think I'm in the right spot. I thank God for that. Everything happens on this time, and I think the Dallas Cowboys, they're going to get everything out of me, and I think that this is the perfect spot for me to continue to grow and excel.
Have you heard from Micah yet?
Say it one more time.
Have you heard from Micah yet?
Yeah, he reached out to me.
What have the conversations been like? So
it was quick. He kind of introduced himself, and he was like, "Let's get to work." And I said, "Let's do it. Like, I'm ready to ride." So,
why is this the right fit?
The coaching staff that's here, it feels like family here. The city of Dallas is a great city. It's different from Williamstown, New Jersey, up there for sure. But the people in this building, I could tell this is where I'm going to be able to grow as a young man coming to the NFL and continue to develop.
You mentioned the staff in college; they moved you around, and you got some different opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Are you hoping that that's the case right off the bat here, or as a rookie?
I'm coming in here to work and to do whatever the coaches asked me to do. That's where my mindset is, and if they ask me to stand up or play over top of the guard on some type of pass situation, or stand up or be on the edge, I'll do that to the best of my ability. So.
That's South Jersey you from?
Yes, sir.
So his family, they're all Cowboys fans now?
They Cowboys fans now. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Shipko was telling us that he was able to meet up with you guys when y'all came down to play SMU.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine the next time you saw him, y'all be on the same side again?
Yeah, that surprised me. I was thinking about that when I got the call, and I remember, and Coach Shimmy actually called me after I got drafted, separately, and we talked about that. It was like, damn, I just saw you last year down here. Now you're my coach again, so it's pretty cool.
Being an Eagles fan growing up, was there hope that maybe at the end of the first round that they might take you?
I mean, there's hope that any team that was coming up that was going to take me, honestly. I did say, though, after my last season at Boston College, whoever takes me, that's whatever team I'm a fan of. Simple as that.
They got Cowboys gear, your family now?
Oh yeah, all of it. I got an uncle, my Uncle Junior. Shout out to him. He tore down his whole basement, and it's about to be all Cowboys stuff there. So yeah.
Have they talked to you about? Obviously from the East Coast. Have they talked to you about the heat down here and the barbecue and all those?
Yeah. So actually, my brother moved out to Houston not too long ago. So I came down here to visit, a few years in July. So I've experienced that Texas heat already in the summertime. So I'm gonna have my little hand cloth ready when I walk out the house. I'll be okay.
You ever had a ping pong table in your locker room?
No, I didn't, but I'm a ping pong guy, so it'll be fun. A little competition, compete every day.
What jersey number do you ultimately want to have, or the one that they're giving you? Is that fine, or are you trying to get something else?
I'm good with my jersey number. I mean, I of course I want 6 or a single digit number, of course, but that's taken right now. So we'll have to find something else, or 41 I might just have to make that work. So.